our lead story of the day is a woke film critic saying that Avatar 2 Way of Water is, get this, cultural appropriation. I kid you not, folks. And it's so typical of the left to say something like this, right? I mean, these are the same people that say that you can't dress up for Halloween because it's cultural appropriation. These are the same people that say exercising is racist, milk is racist, Band-Aids are racist, you taking paid sick leave is racist. I mean, anything and everything is racist and a cultural appropriation. Now a fantasy movie, like a fictitious movie, is now cultural appropriation of people of color. Mind you, avatars of the Na'vi, they're blue people, folks. They're aliens. They're not real. And somehow it's cultural appropriation. This is how far we've gone. Well, this lady gets shellacked here. Woods, who writes for the Philadelphia Tribune and sometimes for NBC, called out James Cameron's Avatar, The Way of Water, because of white actors playing the roles of the fictional native alien race of Na'vis who are blue. Now, we've seen this before as well, not with people playing literally fictional native, basically alien race or whatever. They got upset with Bryan Cranston, who did Breaking Bad and Malcolm in the Middle and stuff like that, for playing a quadriplegic. What they wanted was Bryan Cranston not to act. They actually wanted them to find, the casting director, to find an actual quadriplegic to be a quadriplegic in a movie. They don't believe in acting whatsoever. So even if you were to act, that is some sort of cultural appropriation of somebody else, the fact that you're acting as somebody else, which is amazing here because she said this. At some point, we got to talk about the cultural appropriation of Avatar, and white actors are cosplaying as people of color. They are playing, and they're not playing people of color, you dum-dum. These are aliens. It's not real. But what the left wants is James Cameron to go out in the ether into the universe and find some blue alien Na'vi that are like 10 feet tall to be played in a movie of which they don't exist whatsoever. But this is the progressive left. Why are we even bother trying to make sense of it all? She gets shellacked, by the way, on Twitter. Wait till we get to those. She goes on to say, it's just a mess and so not necessary, and no amount of visual effects, CGI, is going to erase that. Bad lace fronts / dry synthetic braids, Jesus fix it. You hear this time and time again of people of color, black people sometimes, because they wear dreads or braids or whatever you want to call it, saying it's cultural appropriation when a white person does it, even though there's been evidence of the Vikings and others in North America, meaning a white race, if you want to call it that, utilizing dreads or braids themselves. So it's clearly not just one culture that utilized it. And if anything, there's more evidence to support the fact that people of color, black people, took it from white people. But I'm not for that. I think you should, if you want to wear dreads, who cares? Who cares? That is what makes America great. We're a melting pot of cultures. And what we could do is pull from other people's cultures that we think is good, is going to benefit the culture here in America, and we can adapt and inculcate that very culture into ours. Not all cultures have something good from their culture that we want to inherit ourselves. There's going to be aspects of everyone's culture that is good and aspects of everyone's culture that is bad, and we should choose and select the ones that are good to share with other people. But you have these woke progressive leftists that get all up in arms about it and get all freaking foo-foo on this whole fictitious stuff or cultural appropriation or race this, race that. And it's head spinning. And what's even more mind blowing is these are the same progressive leftists. They're all about diversity and inclusion and bringing everybody together, but yet they're not. Because if you really were, then you would want to share other people's cultures with other people and allow the people that you're sharing that culture with to inherit that culture and then share that very culture with other people. So you're not that inclusive of you're saying, or you're not that diversified in terms of what you're pushing and saying. So it's all BS. They just want to sit there and complain and whine because they got nothing better to do. Well, after the film and TV Critic was mocked for comparing the blue aliens in the fictional film to people of color, Woods locked her Twitter account and made it private. However, several outlets caught the remarks before responses to her account were limited. And I got to show you these folks. These are too good. You had Andrew Kerr saying James Cameron didn't even try to find native blue people to play these roles. Another joke in his tweet, it's true, it's disgusting James Cameron didn't cast any actual Na'vi actors in a movie about the Na'vi. You had Anna Ziegler saying, no, we don't have to talk about it. Dan O'Donnell, only 9-foot tall blue aliens can play 9-foot tall blue aliens in movies, apparently. Exactly what I was saying. Well, when you're so woke, you start grouping made-up aliens in with actual people of color, another writer wrote. Like, this is so offensive, what the heck? I mean, it's not a shock that they're doing this now. They have nothing more to complain about. We have it so good in America that this is what people have to complain about now, is that somehow white people playing aliens is going to be correlated to people of color, which I can understand because of the way that James Cameron made the first one and Native Americans and blah, blah, blah. But boy, oh boy, is this still a stretch and kind of an idiotic thing to post. Quote, at some point, we got to talk about how wokeness and people like Kathia Woods are ruining the entertainment industry with takes like this. I mean, not just takes like this, but literally the fact that the entertainment industry is not hiring basically white people right now. I'm part of the Screen Actors Guild, folks. I don't talk about that a lot here on the show. I was literally told by one of the top agencies in the world that we're not going to take anybody or even bother having you audition. Not that I'd be even worthy of auditioning for it, but I know somebody that works there, because they're not taking any white people, basically, because nobody wants to hire any white people because, you know, it's been so saturated in the market and, you know, all this woke stuff's happening. As long as, if you were trans and white, oh boy, would they take you. If you were trans, white, and a small person, you're definitely being taken. But if you're just a cis white person, no way. No way. People so bitter they cannot enjoy a fantasy film and its message. Americans and their rabid race politics infecting the Western world. Absolutely. It's a destructive ideology. It really is, because rather than bringing people together and, like I said, sharing in other people's cultures, you're really just tearing people apart and not allowing people to share in other people's cultures, which it's creating division at the end of the day. Now, it's kind of ironic about creating division because I rip the Democrats day in and day out, but I would love for the Democrats and the Republicans to really share in our Constitution together. But the problem is the Democrat Party doesn't want to share in our founding values or our Constitution, at least so it appears, because they're trying to chisel away at our Second Amendment right and our First Amendment rights. And they can't say they're not. I mean, literally, Joe Biden himself saying he wants to sit there and get rid of semi-automatic weapons. That's virtually all weapons. How are you not saying that you want to get rid of the Second Amendment? So it's an ideology that is, yes, it's infecting the Western world. It's very cancerous and it's very destructive. Quote, come on, you must know this is ridiculous, right? It's a sci-fi movie. Another added. We know the inspiration behind it, but it doesn't represent them. These are supposed to be blue aliens, nothing more, nothing less. But the thing is, they're going to read into things. They're going to go further they can because they need something to complain about. They need something against the system of oppression to go against, even though the system of oppression does not exist. I'm not saying there aren't people out there that are going to oppress you. There definitely are. There's always going to be jerks and a-holes out there. I mean, there's the same thing if it happens to me, and I'm a white guy. There's people that oppress people all the time, but it's not a systematic thing. It used to be. Not anymore. Not in 2022, going into 2023. But they have to push something, folks. They have to push a narrative out there, because if they don't, if they're not able to play the victim, then all their failures is based upon themselves rather than the system of supposed that they say exist, of which it doesn't exist. So really, the only victim out there and oppression that's being caused is of themselves. And when they have to realize that and actually take in personal responsibility, their whole worldview is completely shattered. So that's why they have to do things like this. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. This one was kind of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.